Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Meet Touchstone Essentials Live Product Training Edition. I'm here with Cindy Klement, and we're excited to have you here, Cindy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg. It's been about a month since we got together. So
with the holidays, you had a good holiday, I assume?
We sure did.
That's great.
Here's proof of it right here on this slide.
Tell us who we've got. I can see Michael right there in the middle.
Yep, this is mom and dad. They're going on 95 and 93. Wow. And in the last 3 years, my dad has survived thyroid cancer. He's had a stroke, but he's still going strong. Both of their moms lived to be about 100. So I need to take care of myself, my cellular health, I should say, throughout my lifetime, because, with this kind of DNA, I could possibly live another 25, 30 years or more on this planet. So I want to be healthy and I want to enjoy my time.
That's the thing. You want to enjoy it, right? You want to enjoy your time. Well, for those that don't know, Cindy Klement is with us tonight. She's a master teacher, master educator. She's a wonderful speaker, author, nutritionist, herbalist. She's been in this field for 40 years plus. She's an adjunct professor. She teaches the doctors about nutrition, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have Cindy with us today. Cindy, tell us what we're going to talk about tonight.
We are talking about optimizing our cellular health. And that's what I love about this picture, is that it shows you that if you take care of yourself and you got some good DNA, you can really have a delightful life. You really can. And Craig, that topic is important, because there's a variety of genes that are involved in the control of our cell growth and division. So I thought it'd be a great topic tonight.
I love it. Take it away.
All right, here we go. So good evening, everybody. I just love this presentation. I love to research this stuff and figure out how I'm going to teach it. And I just really got involved with this one. It was very fascinating to me. So what I want to talk about tonight is how the cell replicates itself, and how it does that is in a very organized and kind of a step-by-step fashion. And that whole process is called the cell cycle. And there's a real tight regulation of that process that kind of ensures that the dividing cell's DNA is copied properly, and then any of the DNA errors get repaired, and that each cell that's dividing gets this full set of chromosomes. And this cell cycle, if you want to call it that, has different checkpoints along the way. They're also called restriction points. And what they do is they allow certain genes to check for problems, and then they halt the cycle for repairs if something goes wrong. Now, if a cell has an error in its DNA and it can't be repaired, it then could possibly undergo something. It's like a self-destruction. And the word for that is known as apoptosis. And all apoptosis is just a common process throughout our lives that helps the body get rid of cells that no longer work or cells that it doesn't need. And cells that undergo this apoptosis, what they do is they break apart and they get recycled by a type of a white blood cell called a macrophage. And what a macrophage really does is it just kind of eats up that debris. So apoptosis then, it protects our body by removing genetically damaged cells that could lead to disease. It also plays a very important role in the development of the embryo and also in the maintenance of our adult tissue. Now, if the cell cycle proceeds without control, the cells can divide without order and they accumulate genetic errors, and this can lead to damaged cells. Now, in normal cells, there are hundreds of genes that intricately control this process of cell division, and normal growth requires that balance between the activity of the genes that either promote cell proliferation or growth, along with those that suppress it or create this apoptosis. So the normal growth relies on the activity of our genes that signal when those damaged cells should undergo that cell death or that apoptosis. So when the cells grow old or they become damaged, they die, and then new cells take their place. But again, sometimes this orderly process breaks down and those damaged cells continue to grow and multiply when they shouldn't. Now, normal cells have normal DNA and a normal number of chromosomes, but abnormal cells often have an abnormal number of chromosomes, and the DNA becomes increasingly damaged, and it can develop into mutations. So in this case, then, instead of dying, these altered or damaged cells continue to multiply and reproduce and create more damaged cells. So what we have to do then is we have to figure out how to keep our cells healthy. So what keeps them healthy, or I should say, what keeps the cells, the healthy cells, from thriving? Let's start with that. What keeps these healthy cells from really growing the way they're supposed to and dying the way they're supposed to and thriving? Damaged DNA. Because remember, the cells, if they become damaged, the DNA carries the instructions that they need. And if the DNA becomes damaged, then those instructions don't get relayed properly. And then the cells that come from these damaged cells will also be different from those healthy cells. They look different, and they may even have different properties. Now, immune dysfunction can also keep our healthy cells from thriving. Things like infections or viruses, they can weaken the immune system for a brief period of time, but your immune system can also be weakened by smoking cigarettes or alcohol or having poor nutrition. Now, the immune system dysfunction can also occur when the body's natural defenses attack the body's own healthy tissue, such as in an autoimmune disorder. Now, radiation can also keep our healthy cells from thriving. And some examples of a high energy radiation include things like X-rays or gamma rays. And these different radiations, as well as some of those higher ones like ultraviolet rays, are classified as something called ionizing radiation, which means that they have enough energy to remove an electron from the atom. And do you remember what that's called? When that happens, it's called a free radical. So free radicals can damage the DNA inside our cells through that radiation. But things as simple as excess body weight can also affect our cells from thriving. They have convincing evidence today that carrying extra body fat or fat mass which of course is marked by a higher BMI or a greater waist circumference. This can significantly increase the risk for damaged cells in the body. But think about it. Excess body weight can lead to diabetes or heart disease, and those are damaged cells. Now, of course, harmful chemicals and gases can also keep our cells from thriving. Things that you may have never heard of, like acrylamide. Acrylamide is actually develops when we brown things, when we toast things. So something as easy as that can cause problems. Agent Orange or antiperspirants or arsenic or asbestos or aspartame or diesel exhaust, cosmetics, formaldehyde, the list goes on, military burn pits, just all kinds of chemicals can keep those cells from thriving. And there are even some occupations that carry a higher risk of chemical exposure. So think about people that work in agriculture, as in the picture on our slide, or those who are in construction, the construction industry, or painting or roofing or tarring driveways, or maybe in manufacturing or mining, or even think about people that work in beauty salons and the chemicals they're exposed to with the smell of hair dyes and perm solutions, or even nail polishes and things like that. So there's all kinds of things that can keep those healthy cells from thriving. But we also need to be aware and reduce our personal exposure to both outdoor pollution or indoor pollution, including something called radon. Now, radon is a radioactive gas that's produced from the natural decay of uranium, and it accumulates in basements, really pretty much. It's things underground. Radon has the ability to move at all times. So it can, one day you can have radon in the basement and another day you can't. So it accumulates in homes and schools and workplaces. You can't smell it. You don't feel it. And that's why they have these radon monitors, because again, it's a radioactive gas. So all of these things, pretty much and more, can damage those healthy cells or keep them from thriving in the first place. But of course, a poor diet can also keep our healthy cells from thriving. So what they suggest then is that we reduce our consumption of saturated fat and red meat and increase our consumption of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and fiber. Because not having enough fiber in your diet can keep those healthy cells from thriving. So, of course, plant-based foods, our plant-based diets have a lot of fiber in them. And then what happens is the healthy bacteria in the gut can ferment that fiber and the other starches. And then that healthy bacteria produces compounds that are known to help promote normal colon development and reduce inflammation in the body. And then that healthy bacteria can convert certain phytochemicals or plant chemicals or plant nutrients to a more usable or active form. So phytochemicals are important to keep those cells healthy. So for instance, carotenoids, you've probably heard me talk about that before. They are substances which are naturally present in fruits and vegetables. So think of these foods are usually very highly pigmented. So they're found in foods that are red or orange or yellow or green. So you can think about things like carrots and sweet potatoes and spinach and green peppers or leafy greens and things like that. And carotenoids are very beneficial antioxidants that can protect our cells from damage and enhance our immune system. Did you know that there are up to about 50 carotenoids that have been identified in the U.S. diet, but there are more than 600 that are found in nature? So again, this is what gives a plant its vibrant color. So even in flowers, unedible flowers. But plant-based foods also contain naturally occurring substances called polyphenols, which we've talked about before. And polyphenols are found in herbs and spices and vegetables and fruits and tea and nuts and all of those things. And what polyphenols do is they protect the body's tissues against oxidative stress, and they protect the cells from damage. Now, according to the Colorado State University, there are over 8,000 different types of polyphenols that have been identified so far. So we've got to get these plant chemicals, we've got to get enough fiber, and we've got to get the things out of our diet that aren't healthy for us if we want to have cells that remain healthy and thriving. So Harvard University put together a list of things that we should pay more attention to. In other words, if we want to keep our cells healthy, that means not using tobacco in all of its forms, including exposure to secondhand smoke. We also have to maintain a healthy body weight because, as we mentioned, obesity increases our risk of many chronic diseases. And when you have chronic disease, your cells become damaged or altered. We also need to do more physical activity on a regular basis because, of course, that's been linked to a reduction in chronic diseases. And did you know that if you exercise, it can even help to protect your cells, even if you don't lose weight? So exercise and movement is so very important. And as we mentioned before, we also need to avoid or reduce our consumption of alcohol and avoid that UV exposure that we are, especially from the sun, or I should say artificial tanning devices. That's a big one as well. But we also need to avoid that exposure to these industrial and environmental toxins. And again, we mentioned like asbestos and benzene and PCBs, and there are so many others. But we also need to keep our immune system healthy, which includes that focus on gut health. Because remember, we've got 70% of our immune system is in our gut. And that's where it thrives. That's where it lives. So we've got to have that focus on gut health. And we also, of course, need to get enough sleep, and we need to get more plants in our diet. So speaking of plants, let's start with the whole grains because they're high in fiber, and fiber makes us feel full longer. It helps to keep us from searching for a snack 10 minutes after we finished our lunch. And thus, it helps us to manage our weight. Now, research shows that fiber-rich foods actually release what's called an anti-appetite molecule. And that means it sends messages to the brain telling us that we're full. So fiber is incredibly important. And high fiber diets, of course, are associated with a decreased risk of cellular damage. So think about whole grains such as amaranth or a kamut or barley grass or millet, quinoa, fermented rice, oatgrass. All of these are excellent fiber foods, and they're found in organic super protein, the super green juice, as well as super greens plus D. Now, again, in order for a cell to grow, it must produce new proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of life, and every single cell in our human body contains protein. So we need protein in our diet to help our body repair cells and to make new ones. We need protein to make hormones. We need protein to make immune cells. We need them for growth and development as well, even in the children and teens and pregnant women. So think about proteins like pea and hemp and pumpkin and flax and chia, or kamut and quinoa, oatgrass, fermented rice, millet. All of those amazing protein foods are found in organic super protein and super green juice, wellspring, super greens plus D, as well as essentials. So I'm not saying they're all in every product, but between those 5 products, you can find these very good proteins for yourself. Now, when it comes to fruits and vegetables, of course, they say eat the rainbow, and that's a really good rule of thumb. Even back in the 1970s, Dr. Bernard Jensen was telling us you have to have rainbow-colored foods. Every day have a red food. Every day have an orange food, a yellow food, a green food, a blue-purple food. He used to tell us that if you talk to people about what they ate, typically, especially way back then, before people were really educated, he would tell us that people ate a beigey brown diet. In the morning, they would get up and they would have their beigey brown coffee and their beigey brown toast and their beigey brown peanut butter on their toast. And then at lunch, they'd have another kind of a bread sandwich with beigey brown meat and beigey brown potato chips. And he went through this whole, and then they drink their beigey brown soda or whatever. And then at dinner time, they'd have the baked potato and the meat, and they might have a little bit of vegetable at that. So the idea is to really get more of these fruits and vegetables, color in our diet, because it's the pigment, again, it's the color, it's the pigment that provides the nutrients that are going to reduce cellular damage in our bodies. Now on the slide, you can see Super Greens Plus D has 26 different fruits and vegetables. Essentials has 21 fruits and vegetables. Super Green Juice, several dozen. So how about that for color, variety, and certainly ease? Because I don't know about you, but are you really going to make and prepare 26 different fruits and vegetables every day? And each vegetable or fruit or each plant has a very different composition than another plant. So getting the different nutrients from a variety of different plants is always a good idea. Now, since our cell membranes are mostly made of fat, a diet consisting of healthy fats is necessary to keep our cell membranes functioning. And fat also gives our body energy. It protects our organs. It supports cell growth. It keeps our cholesterol down, keeps our blood pressure under control, and it helps our body absorb vital nutrients. So when you focus too much on cutting all the fat out of your diet, you can actually deprive your body of what it needs most. So think about good fats like coconut or chia or flaxseed or sacha incha or acai or mango or pumpkin seed. And these types of foods are found in organic super protein, wellspring, as well as essentials. Now, lastly, we have to consider cellular detoxification. And cellular detoxification is actually defined as any process carried out at cellular level that reduces or removes toxicity of a toxic substance. So how many chemicals do you think are in the human body? In March of just about a year ago, right now, according to the study that was published from the University of California, San Francisco, our body contains an average of 109 chemicals. And in that number, they surmised that that includes about 55 chemicals that have never been reported in humans before, and that there were also 42 mystery chemicals that came from unknown environmental sources. So 109, some people may have more, some people may have less, but certainly in order to keep our cells healthy and reduce that contamination, it's vitally important to include daily detoxification in our health regime. And of course, the nano-sized zeolite can cleanse our body of those toxins and heavy metals and pollutants. But don't forget the fulvic minerals plus when it comes to detoxification, because fulvic acid has also been shown to improve the cellular processes, and it works in part by helping the cells absorb the amount of minerals that they need and then discard the waste. It's been shown to have immune enhancing properties, antioxidant effects, and that too can slow down the progression of those damaged cells and their growth. So the fulvic acid compounds can easily pass through those cellular membranes, and then they facilitate that delivery of nutrients and the removal of waste. And then that gives us that thriving, optimal cell functioning. And when you combine the fulvic acid with the natural zeolite and the red algae, even more heavy metals and toxins are removed. So, folks, there are about, I would have to say, 90 to 95% of damaged cells have their roots in the environment, in environmental exposures, and in our lifestyle. Let me repeat that. 90 to 95% of damaged cells are coming from what we do with our lifestyle and this environmental exposure. So, think cigarette smoking, a poor diet, alcohol, sun exposure, environmental pollutants and infections, stress, obesity, physical inactivity. It all matters. It does. So therefore, keeping our cells healthy is going to require that we moderate our alcohol, we moderate our caloric intake, we get more movement in our lives, we minimize our meat consumption, we use more whole grains, We increase our ingestion of fruits and vegetable, which of course is made quite easy in using Touchstone Essentials products. So that concludes tonight's presentation, everybody. And we're going to be back here on January 26th to discuss how to calm an overactive immune system. So back to you, Craig.
Awesome. Cindy, what an important topic you discussed tonight. I want you to know how much we appreciate you. Thank you for this. We're all much better off for knowing this information. We can improve ourselves. And it's so nice to know that Touchstone Essentials has these incredible organic products that are pure and clean and can do so much good for ourselves.
And they've got all this color, and they've got all these antioxidants and all these polyphenols and all that. And again, like you said, it's organic, and you put this into your body with the enzymes included in them. Your body then absorbs all this good stuff. And then we have detoxification to get all the bad stuff out. It's perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cindy, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here tonight as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good night.
Bye-bye.